Hi there, Karen Flaherty from Living by Human Design. This week's Human Design weather is all about the gate 25, which is called Love of Spirit. Okay, so the sun in gate 25 started on March 19th and it goes until March 24th. The Earth is in gate 46, which is another one of the love gates. It's love of the flesh uh, and perseverance. And so the 25 comes right off the G center, and the 46 comes also off the G center right over here. So because this 25 is here and the 51 is in Twitter all week, as it has been for a while now, it gives us the entire channel of the 2551, which is called initiation. And so both the G center and the will center are defined this week. So you might find that you have a little more will power to get things done. Everybody's going to have a will center, which is usually it's just 1/3 of the population. This week it'll be everybody. Everybody's going to have a will center. So sometimes it'll play out well, sometimes it won't play out so well. It is a week about the love of spirit and love overall, with two of these love gates. And so hopefully it'll all play out well for you. But we'll have these two centers defined all week. So we've got the sun in gate 25, which is called the love of spirit. It's also the spirit of the self or innocence in the original I Ching. And it's the perfection of action through uncontrived and spontaneous nature. It's kind of, it's about as pure a form of love as you can get to. That doesn't mean everybody who has it is at that level of love and innocence, but that's what the goal is. That's what the highest level of that would be. And we'll talk about the different levels in a second. The incarnation crosses this week are the crosses of the vessel of love, innocence, and healing. And then the gate 46, we have another of the love gates. It's the love of the flesh, also called pushing upward or determination of the self, because this one's also about perseverance and determination in the original I Ching. And so it says good fortune that may be perceived as the result of serendipity, but derives from effort and dedication. So this is one where because it's the love of the flesh, a lot of people who are in the healthcare professions actually have this in their chart. And it does help them to pursue their goals because it's also perseverance and determination. And so they make things look easy. And it's not just them, but anybody who has this 46 in their chart is going to basically make things look easy. They'll work hard and they'll study hard and they'll do all the stuff you need to do to get there, but they kind of make it look easy. And so everybody else thinks, oh, well, they just, they've got it made and they didn't have to work as hard as everybody else does. They do, they just make it look easier. And so in the Gene Keys, seriousness is the shadow, delight is the gift, and ecstasy is the CD. So in the Gene Key 25, the shadow is constriction. That would be that lower level. The gift is acceptance, and the CD is universal love. It's really just this big that the love of spirit conveys. In the graphic, he says it's hard for us to let the beauty of the world in unless we can also accept the suffering inside us. So, the idea here is that everybody has some kind of suffering. Everybody has some, some shadow of constriction. It's where we're in, this constriction is so um, poignant for me because it's really about holding your breath, right? Constriction is like, it's just like holding your breath, not knowing when the next shoe will drop, not knowing if you're safe or not knowing, how to proceed in the world, really. This is what that constriction is about. And so once we can get past that and into some level of acceptance of what's going on, because, when you're little, you think that the suffering is we don't know how to explain the suffering, right? Unless your parents did a good job of explaining the suffering to you. Most people grow up and still have to figure out the suffering on their own because we all have some suffering in our lives. We just have to figure out how to let that in, as he's saying, that we can also accept the suffering inside us so that some beauty can come as a result of it. And everybody's had their suffering. And so, even people who, look happy and joyful and content with their lives and all that, we've all had suffering. So it's not easy to get to that acceptance, right? And it's even harder to get to the universal love. And as Richard said, he said to be alive in a physical body can be experienced as the ultimate constriction, right? Especially if your reality is rooted in fear. And so it's literally this gate, this gene key, this gate, whatever you want to call it, is about getting from fear into love, fear into love of the spirit, fear into acceptance, fear into loving in a universal kind of way after we've been through the acceptance. He also says you have to relax these layers deep inside you so that you can feel the flow of love once more moving within your being. Because a lot of times after that, we go through phases of constriction, right? We might, get to the universal love every once in a while. We might get to the acceptance more often than not, but that constriction still rears its head. And so the constriction, is whenever we have a reason to pause, right? A reason to hold on and to grip onto something and to make sure the ground isn't moving underneath us. It's that kind of fear, constriction, and lack of acceptance. Really, even Eckhart Tolle says that acceptance, self-acceptance, is one of the big ones in life that we need to, need to be non-judgmental, but also have that acceptance in our lives to be able to move on, to be able to get through the sorrows and the suffering and whatever else has gone on in our lives. I found this on Facebook this weekend, and I just thought I'd put it in. It says we're moving from a fear-based world and reality to one of love and compassion. And now I can't remember what group I took it off of, and there's no nothing on the graphic. I thought there was, so sorry about that, but I don't know where it came from exactly. But I will say a lot of my teachers, a lot of the people I listen to, are saying that we're moving from a fear-based world and reality to one of love and compassion. So everybody from Ra Uru, who created human design, and Karen Curry Parker, and other people I listen to, whether it's has to do with 2027 or the changes that are happening in this decade, or everybody evolving as we are, we're moving from that fear-based reality to one of love and compassion. And that's some days that's the only thing that gets me through, because these days it can be a little tough. So here are some people we have who have birthdays this week. I'm going to focus on Bruce Willis just briefly, and but you can see there's a lot of other people who were born in this time frame, including me. And so they have the right angle cross of the vessel of love, the juxtaposition cross of innocence, or the left angle cross of healing. And a lot of these people were, you can tell, while they might have, they had different types of roles, they had a softness about them. So we've got Bruce Willis. I just thought I'd highlight him since he's been in the news recently, unfortunately, because he has retired recently because of the frontotemporal dementia that he's been diagnosed with. So this was his first birthday with his diagnosis, and his wife. So he was born on March 19th of 1955. He was born in Idar Oberstein, Germany. His father was in the military. His mother is German. And they married over there. And this was after World War II, but while his father was stationed in Germany. His generator with a 1-3 profile, and he is the right angle cross of the vessel of love. So he is retired now, but he's appeared in over 100 films. So as a generator, he was a busy generator, including the Die Hard franchise, The Sixth Sense, and Pulp Fiction. He did have the 1-3 profile, which means that you're always looking for something new, always kind of investigating and trying something new. And he's probably one of the best examples of a 1-3 in terms of, well, I don't believe the way you're going to do it. I'm going to try it myself, because he did a lot of his own stunts in his early career and for a lot of his career. So he turned 68 yesterday, and he does have that vessel of love, with the being the 2546 in the conscious sun and earth, and then the 10 and the 15, which is the love of the self and the love of humanity here. And he actually had 15 somewhere else in his chart. Oh, right. And he had the 10 and 15 over here too, conscious. So he had all 4 of the love gates, the 25, 46, 15, and 10. But then he also had 3 of the leadership gates. So he had the 2, the 13, which is the listener. 2 is all about resources. And the 1 is all about making a creative contribution to the world, which obviously he has. So he has just the G center defined and the sacral defined. And this channel that he has, well, 2 channels that he has are the 4629, which is all about that perseverance and determination in the 46, and in 29 it's commitment. So he made a commitment. He did what he needed to do to get it done, right? As in 100 plus movies. And then he was able to make it look easy. I mean, nobody that I know would try to do the stunts that he did, and yet he made it look easy. So that was pretty cool. And then this other channel he has is the channel of exploration. And so literally it's multitasking. The 34 is multitasking, and then it goes up into the 10, which is all about the love of the self. But you put those together, and it's basically I think of it as a leadership channel, which is basically at the forefront. You're exploring, you're trying new things, you're leading with everybody behind you, basically. And so it's going in the forefront. And he certainly did that throughout a lot of his career. There were times, there were definitely ups and downs throughout the career. And he always basically came back. He's also got a few other things here. So open head and ajna, which would, allow him to be very creative and very, creative in the moment, right? And where he would probably come up with new ideas for doing things, new ways of doing things, thinking outside the box. He had the open throat. So people were coming to him as a generator and basically inviting him into movies and finding him as opposed to him finding them. He also had the open will and the open solar plexus. So he was not emotional. The only gate he had there was the gate 55, which is all about spiritual abundance. As I call it, 41, coming off the root center, was the gate of creativity. 52 was all about concentration. So, once he was in a role, he could concentrate. And by the way, he's considered a singer as well, because he had a number of albums. And so between, this is that, manifesting generator thing, between films, he was creating albums. And in fact, one role he actually turned down because he was creating an album, and it went on to become a huge movie. So he, there were some things that some roles that he didn't take on because he was concentrating on his music. As you probably know, he had 5 daughters from 2 marriages, first to Demi Moore and now to his wife, Emma. Kind of cool because at least it seems as if they're acting as almost a blended family to be with him and to help through his dementia. He's also got starting things off the route 53 and the 58, which is the joy of life, and right up in his north node. So after 40, he had even more joy of life. He does have the creativity in his moon, which means he's motivated by the creativity. And the 34 is or fantasy and creativity, right? And the 34 is his multitasking. So he's motivated to multitask as well. So I think that, pretty much sums him up. So one other thing that was interesting is that the 56 shows up twice in his Jupiter and in his Uranus. And it's all about storytelling. And so, whether it's through his albums or through his movies and some TV work that he did, he's got that handles, right? The 10 actually shows up one other time over here. So interesting that, he's got a few multiples of things going on. Anyway, so a lot of openness, a lot of 50 is all about caring a lot. He's got that twice in his chart in Neptune. So in a way, that's his spiritual purpose. He's here to really care about people, and he has, taken good care of his families, apparently, and taken good care of his audiences with over 100 films. So happy birthday, Bruce, and I hope you have a great week. It is all about peace and love this week, as Ringo Starr might say. I'm intending that some of the meetings that are going on in Russia may lead to possibility of peace, at least the conversations around peace that might be possible between Ukraine and Russia. And maybe that's a fool's errand, but in this week of love and the love of the spirit, it's certainly a possibility. So have a wonderful week, and I'll see you next time. Be well.